pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening to the folks at home. Good evening to the town clerk. How's that little screen there? Is that going to work? I'm seeing this. Okay. This is perfect. Perfect. Public comment. Does the public comment would like the ladies like to say something, or Brian?
Well, there's a spot on the agenda where
Okay. So you want to wait till that, or do you want to talk now? Okay, because you can talk now if you want.
well, not to burst your bubble when you announce the CCA progress, but on the assumption that we're going to go forward with community choice aggregation, our committee is prepared to take that forward with a quote-unquote working group. Mindy Kimball is going to head up that group, and we will do all of the legwork with regard to dealing with the administrator and dealing with getting solicitations for the service agreements, etc. So Richie will be on our committee, and so just so you know that we're prepared to do all of the legwork on that project, and Mindy will head that up.
And you notice it's on the agenda for us to pass a local law, which will need a public hearing.
Yes.
2 weeks from tonight, I guess, right?
I scheduled it for 4 weeks from tonight, February 22nd. There was just some timing with the notices.
Okay, fine.
So it's February
Yeah.
22nd.
So until we have the public hearing, then it's, but we're working on it. We're moving forward.
Just wanted to get out that that's kind of the process that we're planning to follow.
And what I did is, and I didn't ask Justin, but I'm using his resolution and law and what have you. I passed that on to the village.
Yes.
Joe asked me for it, and I said, Joe, I'll give you what we're doing, and we can both get together and do the same thing. That'd be great.
Right. And the working group will go forward with both. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. Just since we're on that topic, right, one of the things I pointed out in my comments to you is that Olga's speaking about the Environmental Advisory Committee, and it's obviously related, and their help, I'm sure, is welcome. The law itself allows for you to appoint a committee. It has broader parameters than simply the Environmental Advisory Committee. They may be members of it, so that's something for you to consider in the next couple of weeks before we get to a public hearing as to how you'll want to incorporate their help and maybe appoint some of them, and so that when you are looking for an administrator or contracts, that sort of everything is vetted and then it's coming to you just for confirmation as opposed to the legwork. Similar to what she's speaking to, but an actual committee within the law. So that's it for now.
Okay.
You can.
Okay. I'd like to make note that Brian Alward from the village trustee is here at our meeting. And Brian, did you have anything that you came for, or nothing in particular? All right. Aaron, are you here for something?
I'm here with Mr. King. Mr. King. About the meeting that I'll probably do. We got a couple of talking points when you come to my liaison report.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Approval of the previous minutes. I have the minutes of January the 11th. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Thank you. You'll notice item number 5, it says morning, sir. Then we'll just cross that off, because what I do is copy and paste the big items from the checks, and Deb always says good morning, sir, and then gives me her things. So we paid out $58,000 to cover the check run dated January the 14th. Big items are Orange and Rockland Utilities, $2,911. That's for various departments and supply and delivery. Phase 2, let's see, Phase 2 the diesel, we paid $3,282 for sanitation vehicle and maintenance. Ryder, Wiener, and Frankel, $6,000 for legal services, and Rockland County Solid Waste, $29,531 for landfill charges from November the 16th to the 15th of December. Any questions on those? Okay, board liaison reports. We're going to start from the other side tonight. Jim?
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to let you all know that, Bob, Supervisor Livsey talked about this, I think, in December, that there is an activity that's going on involving West Point and the local communities regarding resiliency associated with the power transmission. There's monthly meetings. I'm attending those. Last meeting was last week. A draft of a statement of work that's going to be included in an RFP is being developed by the county. Several people that were on the call from throughout the county, representatives from West Point here in the town of Highlands, have been looking at that, reviewing it. I'm actually, although I haven't said anything to him about it yet, I'm going to send this over to Pat Patterson also, just for his information. I want to get his take on this too, just from a public works perspective. But again, it's an incorporation of looking at the resiliency of the electric transmission going into West Point, not just the military academy, but also of a benefit to the surrounding communities. And so it looks good, looks promising, and more to follow with that. But very, very, very much involved with that. I just wanted to also make sure the community knew that I'm the board liaison to the ambulance corps. That is new this year. And so I'll be getting and working with them. Also, regarding the ambulance corps, it is a volunteer ambulance corps. And so we definitely need to help as far as getting more volunteers associated with that. So if anyone is interested in volunteering for that, please reach out to Jeff Gathers, or please feel free to contact me and we can make that happen. One last thing on businesses. Talked a lot last time we met about what we're looking at fiscally for this year for the community, and both businesses and people needing help, needing assistance, working together. We have got to do everything we can to support our local businesses and support bringing businesses into the community. Quite frankly, the more we can bring in, the more tax dollars we can bring in, the more businesses we can bring in, the better it's going to be for helping our economy. And I would say, if you're thinking about going and buying something, look first to see if you can purchase it here in Highland Falls or Fort Montgomery. And let the businesses earn your business. But the default position should be, let's do it here first before we go someplace else. And so that's all I have today.
Thank you. Councilman Parry.
I would just report that it appears that winter is not going to let us go by without some issues. We have a pending snowstorm coming up, and I think it's going to be a mess. I know the Highway Department is ready for it, and just remind people to take it easy tomorrow. And again, as I normally do, I'd just like to thank all the municipal employees for all their hard work during the pandemic in maintaining the services that we need in the community. And just again, thank you. That's all I have, Tom.
Thank you. Councilman Sullivan.
Oh, my turn, okay. I'm not as well prepared as I usually am. Good evening, everybody. So I went to the village board meeting last Monday night. Thank you, Brian, for welcoming me, and welcome to our meeting. And so I'm going to talk first about the building department. Jimmy Ramus read off the same thing I'm going to read off, which is a combined synopsis of what the building department did in the village and the town for the month of December. Was 12 permit applications were received, 18 permits were issued, 9 COs were issued, 15 building permit inspections, 1 advisory notice violation was issued, 16 municipal searches were completed, there were 10 FOIL requests, and 16 total number of physical inspections. So, as we're owing to this COVID world, there are occasions where, for reasons I'm not going to talk about publicly due to privacy for people, where people may not be at work for a week. And in the ability to work remotely, I've heard some companies, and Justin can expound on this, are no longer purchasing desktop computers. They're purchasing laptops so the people can work remotely. I know we're in an austere time at this point in time, but I would like to enable the building department to be able to work remotely simply with an iPad, just like I have. I've searched our coffers for anything available, and there is none except for a personal cell phone. It's a Droid, it's not an Apple. I don't know if we can discuss that further. I'm trying to set up where they can work remotely when they're not manned in that office. The sewer. On Saturday, the supervisor and I took a little ride together, and one of our adventures was down to the sewer plant, which has 2 projects. One was a dechlorination, which was a result of a violation from before I was on the board, which was rectified and is signed off on as dormant at this time of year. It'll be activated again in May. The other one is a $3+ million for the EFC project. They call it dewatering. It's dewatering sludge and a belt press going in with other things. It's been idle for some time. Bob asked me to check into it. So, the engineer down there for Fusco, Jerry Coleman, I think is his name. I talked to him today. He's available 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. I know Bob's going to be there. The plant operator, Jimmy's going to be there. I don't know how it works for the quorum thing, but anybody would like to come down to see what's going on down there. They assure me that they will be done by May, but at the moment there's a little bit of anxiety because things have been dormant. And I have a revised schedule too, Bob. That one you gave me?
Yeah.
There's a revised one down at the plant that I'll email out, which shows what they actually project getting done down
I
there.
hope we're not going too far into April or May.
He said by May 1st they'll be done with everything.
God bless him.
And I'll email the schedule out. Subject I'm also uncomfortable talking about is at the village meeting, the mayor was kind enough at the end to include me in a little bit of conversation about sewer. People heard me at the last meeting talk about our plant. It was at 137,000 gallons. I know there was rain and snow. It's permitted for 120. That DMR has been submitted. It had a little red highlight when it was submitted because Jimmy and I do it together. We'll have to see where that goes. And that discussion is going to have to continue as we go into this year. Because the plant is being challenged even when there isn't rain and snow, especially as we go into April and May and June. So Joe mentioned talking about village and sharing it with the Village of Highland Falls shared use. That's very preliminary, but he did bring it up at the meeting, and we'll see where that goes. At last Wednesday night, the Zoning Board of Appeals, I did not go to their meeting. It was virtual. They reorganized. I don't think they had any public hearings. I do think it's on the agenda. They can hire any attorney they want to, and I think they're looking for us to just approve Elise Terhune tonight. I think the village already did at their meeting last week, if I'm not mistaken. And the planning board met on Thursday night virtually. They had 3 matters. Dunkin' Donuts in Fort Montgomery, Trans Hudson was on the agenda. I'd be lying if I said I knew exactly what happened because I wasn't able to attend all of that. I think it was an amended site plan that they were working on. There were 2 other matters which were informal, and to stress to people, we're not here to try and prevent things from being built. Engage the planning board. They know what they're doing. They have good process. So they allow you to come one time informally And they'll let you sit there for an hour and answer all your questions to get the ball rolling. And then my advice is roll the ball after that. So there were 2 matters before them that I hope that happens with. And I think that's basically all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Councilman King.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and good evening, everyone at home. Very few briefs, points here tonight. I'm going to start with thanking the Ambulance Corps for the 3 to 4 years that I had the opportunity to be the liaison and work with them. I mean, extremely proud of their work that they do each and every day for the community at large. And so as we pass the baton over to my colleague Jim Modlin, I'm assured that he's going to take the mantle to the next level. So thank you all, Captain Retired Marty Burns, Captain Jeff Gathers, the whole team, young Ryan in the back there. Thank all of you all for what you do. I would like the community to know that the town of Highlands is moving full steam ahead on the police reforms that are mandated by the governor's executive order. And as most of us know, last summer, the summer we could call of unrest because of a variety of things throughout the country, and more specifically, the George Floyd murder. The executive order 203 came that police agencies within the state of New York would be examined and go through necessary reforms. Our chief is 100% engaged. He will talk more in detail about these issues if he'd like, but I just want to reassure the community that we are on top of it. Now, that all being said, I want to speak a little for the village just because I had a meeting with the mayor, a good productive one last week, and he talked about the same reforms going on in the village of Highland Falls with their police force. And I just want to make sure the community knows that there's plans for us to work closer together in the future, more to follow on that. Recreation. Good and exciting things happen in the world of recreation. Of course, we have probably one of the best recreation director in Orange County, New York, and Mr. Aaron Falk, and he's going to talk a little bit more about the details, but I just want to share with you all that he and I have met, and then he and I have met with, again, the village, with Trustee Alward, Mayor Joe D'Onofrio, and also Trustee, maybe you weren't there for the recreation meeting, it was Merv, Trustee Merv Livsey. Is he junior? I'll make sure you don't mix it up. Merv Livsey, he was there.
Junior.
He is a junior. Okay, so we're talking about junior, folks. and he had very good ideas. And to the gist of the story is that we feel really good about going into 2021. Aaron will tell you about the game plan, but we're talking about virtual programs for youth. We're talking about baseball potentially coming back. We're talking about senior citizens having all kind of fun and being energized. And we're talking about potentially doing it all out of what they're calling the Highland Falls Community Center versus what we used to call the Highland Falls Senior Center. Now, the new name came from the mayor, so don't shoot the messenger. But anyway, we're looking at bringing back an idea that we had probably, 2018, about our recreation department going down, occupying that building and running the programs out of there. We feel like that would give us so much leverage to do so many more things. But that being said, I'm just going to turn it over to the two experts here and let each one of them have an opportunity to talk to the public and let them know what all the details they got coming. So everybody strap on your seatbelts because it's going to be a wild ride here in 2021. We got all kind of stuff happening. Aaron? Yeah, we close to the mic right there, I think. Yeah.
Not too many notes. Real quick, the virtual gaming platform has been a little harder to tackle. We're not set up for that, and my hesitation was always to invite people onto another person's platform. God forbid something happens, the liability, of what goes on. So we stopped looking into that so much. But what we were talking about a lot at the meeting was the ability to use the Highland Falls Community Center, not as a virtual gaming center, but a active gaming center. That's one of the ideas we talked about. They have the projector and the screen that rolls down, so that alone gives us the opportunity to bring kids safely into an environment that's structured and contained and do things like that. It also opens up, movie nights, senior matinees. Just that avenue alone brings up a lot of opportunities for recreation. We spoke about potentially moving our offices down there, and I know that's a lot of work for you guys to hash out, so I'm not going to speak too much on that. But I will say, working out of that building opens up a lot of opportunities, and going into 2021, thinking outside the box, this is the thing that we can do to think outside the box. The possibilities to use that building are really endless. So just something for you guys to think about moving forward.
Yeah, I didn't give the board all the details on that recommendation, and because it's really not a new one. We came to the conclusion we were gonna do with it, and then all of a sudden it fell apart for some reason. This time the mayor seems to be motivated to re-engage that. I told him I would talk to the supervisor and the board about it, but my only concern was it needs to be a memorandum of agreement in writing, and then we can move from there versus a whole bunch of talk.
Yeah.
And he said he was willing to do that.
I think the holdup, but what he told us what the holdup before was the issue of whether or not they could use it for anything else but senior activities. But he assured us that issue was gone.
Yes, what he said is where the grant was written, that it had a statute of limitations, like so many years he had to use it a specific kind of way. And now that has expired, and that's why thus the name changed to Community Center versus Senior Center, and he's open to doing more things, to include bringing youth and so forth and so on.
Well, at the very least, operating out of that building opens it up 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for seniors who don't want to do any programming, don't want to do anything other than just come and watch TV and be around other people. Eventually, I'm looking down the road, cooling center, emergency shelters, things like that we can get grants for to upgrade the building and keep it, up to date, things like that. But that's, like I said, that's something that's, down the road for you guys to talk about. But in the meantime, we're going to start running the food program out of there on Thursdays. We work at the American Legion on Old State Road. We got permission from the village to shift it over. That's going to be a huge help because I think just people who are able to walk now to our food distribution can walk there versus having to find a ride or the dial-a-bus, who's been great about getting people down there. So just that avenue alone, opening the building up, brings people to it. Spring sports, we are looking to open up registration for softball and baseball, coach pitch baseball, t-ball, February 1st, next Monday, I believe. We're going to go exclusively online registration. We're going to push the link out. We don't want anyone coming here registering with cash or check if we can help it. Everyone's not going to have that access, so we'll be flexible when we can be, but we're going to really push that online registration. The updated county regulations regarding sports has eased up a little bit, and there's not too much we have to do to align with their regulations and guidelines, so we're going to be in good shape for that. So we're just going to kind of see who signs up and who's ready to get out.
And timing-wise, this is on par with what most of you probably heard about the governor allowing for high school sports to start to open up now. What they call contact or high-risk sports in high school is now going to be able to happen apparently. And so simultaneously, the youth will look like we're going to have an opportunity for the youth here shortly. Because Aaron's been doing all the due diligence to make sure we can do that safely. So, good job.
And again, thinking outside the box, you're going to see a lot of flyers coming out for different type of programming now that we're going to be able to be back outside and have access to the community center. You're going to see a lot of recreation popping up, which is good timing because the winter has been low for a lot of people. So we're hoping to get a lot of people back out and engaged.
The last thing I'd say is that what I like really right now, I'm seeing a lot of teamwork, a lot of folks working together, whether it be us with the village or even internally. Colleen and Aaron have been talking about how we can best use the dial-a-bus to get seniors to the programs, get youth to the programs. And so that kind of collaboration will then just give us more expansion of these programs to the community.
That's going to be one of our biggest collaborations going into this year is the youth and the seniors, trying to figure out programming to bring them together, do things together. Sarah Kelly started a big Facebook page, Town of Highlands History, and it got a lot of discussion about a lot of things that has happened before, a lot of us realized and grew up. And I think that page is bringing a lot of discussion back about how we can bring each other together and do different things and learn about each other because, we're all from here. It's our history. So I think a lot of good recreation is going to come out of 2021, so I look forward to it.
Hey, I appreciate you coming out, Aaron. Thank you
Oh,
so
yeah.
much, and
Thank you.
keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Does anybody on the board have anything to ask? Chief? Chief, I'm going to also ask you to talk about hope and not handcuffs.
I think I start off with that. Well, maybe I start off with police reform. So, We have a mandate, we have to meet by April 1, we will meet that mandate. We preliminarily have our community team put together, and we'll start inviting folks to be part of it. I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to get at least 2 meetings in prior to the board adopting the policies and procedures. And I think it's a good time coming. As for Hope Not Handcuffs, so that program's been around for a little bit. Today we met with the district attorney, Dave Hoofler, Annette Cars from Hope Not Handcuffs, and our commissioner of mental health and social services, Darcy Miller, all 3 great advocates for police. Myself and 4 of the chiefs decided to give Hope Not Handcuffs a try. And basically what it is it's a diversion. So if our officers engage, for example, somebody with, and we're gonna start at misdemeanor weight narcotics, so let's just say somebody now has some misdemeanor weight heroin on them. And our officers encounter them, or they come upon this. In most situations, we would arrest that person, charge them with criminal possession of controlled substance, 7th degree, and basically see what happens in the court system. With the courts being shut down, there's really no drug courts anymore. So that person gets lost in the shuffle. So maybe they plead to something, they don't receive any help. What our officers will do now is ask that person if they need assistance. If they agree to it, we'll do everything we've done before. We'll write a case report, we'll take it into evidence, we won't make an arrest. We'll come back to the station, we'll notify Hope Not Handcuffs. If someone can come, one of their angels, as they call them, to the station, they will sign them up for a program. If they're not available, we're gonna have forums that they can engage with the organization afterwards, within 3 to 5 days. And we'll track them for 120 days. And if that person receives help, gets some assistance, has no other trouble with the law, basically their case is non-existent. We see a 40% increase in overdoses in Orange County. We use the tracking device here for overdoses in our community, which we'll send out to the Crime Analysis Center. People more than ever need an ally. So if you lost your job, you have financial problems, you're worried about COVID, you have no one to turn to where you can meet up with your friends, and now you're onto some kind of illegal substance, the police are your ally. So we don't pass judgment. We basically, like I said, we're starting to misdemeanor weight. We'll ask that person if they need assistance, and then we'll track them. If for some reason within 120 days they get rearrested, they have a problem, they're not following policy, we could do then is follow the accusatory instrument and bring them in and arrest them. I feel pretty confident it's going to work out well overall. Again, with no drug court and no people not having those abilities to speak with other people, people are turning to narcotics. We have a problem here. So I'm looking forward to it. So probably we're going to start off next first week or so in February. We'll have all the forms together. There's a flow chart for the officers. We're going to do some training on it. It is purely discretional, but for misdemeanor, my policy is that we're going to offer them that assistance. And we're hoping we don't encounter anybody, but if we do, we hope that they go forward and they say they need the assistance, and we'll be there to assist them. Other than that, it's reforms, and again, like I said, we'll be ready for that.
Chief, for 911 and 911, could you?
Sure. So in the town of Highlands, Town of Highlands Police Department, we do not have a dispatcher. So if you call 911, you will get the county dispatcher who will dispatch our units. And as many folks have read or seen, the county had a multi-million-dollar upgrade to the radio system, which I feel is excellent. So for some areas in the town where radios were tough, like the far end of 293, we can hear crystal clear. 4911 or 446-4911 is the village. So they can receive a call, but then there's a delay, could be just seconds, that our officers can get the call. So we encourage folks in this area, in the Fort Montgomery, Town of Highlands Police Protection District, to call 911. We've never had a problem with anything coming from 911, and our officers hearing them.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Any other questions or anything? Kelly, do you have anything?
No, just the partners in safety.
I'm sorry, what?
Just the partners in safety.
Yeah, I got it on the agenda. We'll get to it, yeah. Okay, touching on something that Jim Modlin said about businesses, I really believe that whether it be the village or the town, the more businesses there are more reasons for people, in particular West Point, to come out into our town. If there's one restaurant in Fort Montgomery, that's it. Well, it's difficult to let those people know that there's things down there. But if you have 10 restaurants in Fort Montgomery, that's a reason to come down to Fort Montgomery. That's a reason to come to Highland Falls. So the more businesses we have, the better it is all around. My feelings. Justin, would you walk me through community aggregation? I don't see a resolution to set the public hearing in the stuff that you gave me.
Sure. Let me
Maybe
give
I
you
lost
mine. Sure, as the board has now discussed a couple times with the assistance of the Environmental Advisory Committee, community choice aggregation is a process by which, well, just that, the community aggregates all the users of the utility, and they then, through an administrator, or that's how this draft law was proposed, through an administrator, would purchase the utility and provide it to the entire community. It doesn't change the transmission, right? So what you're used to through transmission, or all the infrastructure we see around us, right, that remains the same, but the source of the utility could be vetted, changed, contracted with in a different manner. Individuals can do that, but they don't have the buying power or the purchase power, and often an individual is simply doing it because they believe in some environmental reason or cause, and they will choose their distributor. But in this, the entire community can come together, partner with other communities, tend to get better rates, but also have different choices available to you. So the local law establishes the procedures for all of that. Again, a couple of the main options in the law. The town board could act as its own administrator. That embroils you in a lot of learning and know-how and extra diligence, as opposed to hiring a third-party administrator who's familiar with the processes. The fees for that third-party administrator get captured in the contracts with the utility, right? So there's no out-of-pocket costs for the town or the citizens. That's one of the main options in the law, and that's how it was drafted. The other is there's opt-in or opt-out laws. This law was drafted, as an opt-out law, meaning everyone in the community, in the territory, will be enrolled in the program unless they opt out. Again, the third-party administrator will provide notice to everybody, advising them of their rights, giving them a certain amount of time in which to make that determination. If they don't respond, then they're in the program until such time that they choose to opt out. There's other ways to get out down the road should someone want. Similarly, new people to the community would be presented with the opportunity, again, opt out, otherwise it's presumed that they're going into the program. Mentioned briefly when Olga was volunteering, Mindy and herself and some of the friends, right, that's a structure within the law to allow the town board to move some of this work to a committee, right? Whether it's citizens who are actively engaged, or a board member who wants to head something, or a town controller or a town superintendent who deals with some of the utilities anyway, right? So sometimes they do some of the groundwork with the administrator, basically make recommendations to you or make decisions that you confirm in your role as town board. Mm-hmm. So that's how the law's been structured and drafted. If you recall from the presentations, these are becoming nice mechanisms. They're being taken advantage of in New York and in the Hudson Valley. So I certainly think it's a nice opportunity for the community. So before you, specifically, right, it's a local law process, meaning you have to have a public hearing. The public hearing would be scheduled for February 22nd, where you could come in, There's an environmental assessment form, basically explains that it's really a code change and won't have significant environmental impacts in any negative light. Obviously, your committee would argue that environmentally it's probably a bonus. And a public hearing notice that will go off to the paper should you adopt the resolution. So the resolution is simply adopting a public hearing for the proposed local law number 1 of 2020.
We don't have to do anything with the local law tonight.
No, so if you didn't have an opportunity to fully read through, the final form should be on your desk 10 days before the public hearing. That's again why I went to the 22nd, because there are these few nuanced areas that I just described that I looked around at what other communities do and listened to the reporting, but this seems to be the typical manner, but it's not definitive. So if you wanted changes, we could still make changes at the next meeting before the February 8th meeting if you wanted any changes. I think it's comprehensive. I think it's in good shape.
Okay. I have a resolution to introduce and schedule a public hearing to receive public comments concerning the enactment of a local law adding Chapter 92 entitled Community Choice Aggregation Program to the Code of the Town of Highlands. Public hearing shall be held on February the 22nd at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall located on 254 Main Street. Do I have a motion to move the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Modlin,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Parry,
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Supervisor Livsey.
Aye. Okay, the next matter of business that we have to take up is a resolution for a crosswalk at Franklin and Route 9W. Apparently, there has been, Chief, outside of your office, there's been some discussion that
At the last meeting,
the locals would like to see a crosswalk at that location. In order to get the Department of Transportation to work on it, we need to pass a resolution in favor of it, and then they take the next step.
they'll send an investigative team then.
Does the board have any questions on that, on the resolution? Okay, I have a resolution requesting that New York State Department of Transportation place a crosswalk at Franklin Street crossing Route 9W in the town of Highlands for safety reasons.
That's,
Right?
yep,
Is that enough? Okay,
that says it all.
that says it all. Okay, do I have a motion
I
to
made the
move the
motion.
resolution?
Second.
By Councilman King and seconded by Councilman Parry. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Modlin,
Aye.
Councilmember King,
Aye.
Councilmember Parry,
Aye.
Councilmember Sullivan,
Aye.
Supervisor Livsey.
Aye. Okay. Okay, we have been for many years now contracting with the Partners in Safety Incorporation for their drug and alcohol testing agreement. You should have gotten a contract paper suggesting what their rates are, who's covered under it, and what have you. My question would be, and we can go ahead and pass this tonight, that's fine. I think it's $425?
There's two separate contracts. So one is $210 and the other one is $425.
Separate meaning, we need
One
to,
covers.
we need to cover both?
Pardon me?
We need to accept both?
Yes.
Okay.
One is for the dial bus drivers and one is for the highway and sanitation.
Okay, and we'll go along and pass this because we need it in place. But my question would be, is why is the police department and the ambulance corps not in this? Is there a reason? Do you know of any reason, Justin?
Are you looking at me specifically?
Yeah, I am.
Well, the police department has separate provisions as to how certain drug testing is handled.
Okay, stop right there. Chief,
I think it has to do with commercial driver's license.
yes.
But we have a situation where, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, they have to be suspicion-based and followed by a contract, correct?
Yeah, in the police contract, correct. So, right, so they're
So they're out. for a
handled
reason.
separately. I've not looked into the procedures for what the ambulance corps does.
Okay, if you would,
Sure.
between now and the next meeting, and I'm sure, Kelly, we can always add to this then, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion for the board to allow me to sign the 2 contracts here for drug and alcohol testing on commercial drivers.
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you. Jack Janarone from the ZBA chairman, asked if the town board would approve the appointment of Elise Terron to the ZBA as their attorney.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
So carried, thank you very much. The village has already approved her, right, Brian? Prior to this meeting tonight, we had an executive session at which we discussed the hiring of a deputy chief of police for the town. The discussion included whether or not we need to or want to hire a chief at this time. We had about a half an hour discussion. I would like to ask for a motion as to whether or not we want to hire a deputy chief of police.
Motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Also, we interviewed one gentleman for the job, and we looked through the paperwork of another applicant that couldn't make the meeting tonight. I think it was a unanimous decision that we hire Mr. Frank R. Basili Jr. To the job of deputy police chief according to the salary schedule and with the 1-year probation.
It's a little longer for the police. I think it's,
Just say maximum probation.
Well, maximum probation then, okay. Do I have a motion to hire
Motion?
Mr.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, Frank. Frank, would you notify Mr. Basili? And then he's got to come in and see Kelly and her gang up there to get all paperwork straightened out.
well, what was the last name?
Basili, Basile, Basile, Frank R. Jr.
So we can call you Frank and call him Junior.
The gentleman we just hired, Mr. Basile, comes highly qualified. It's almost pleasant to see that the judge we just hired at the last meeting had a long list of qualifications and was extremely qualified. This gentleman equally so. He's been in police service, 32 years, was it, Frank?
Close to 35, it was part-time work, yeah.
Yeah, so he's an excellent candidate and I think an excellent choice. And any business not listed?
Just a quick observation, a couple of them. One, Olga and Mindy, I can't thank you enough with the community choice aggregation. We meet every month, we discuss it, not ad nauseum because I enjoy the discussion, but pretty deeply. There's been several town board meetings where if anybody out there wants to know what it's all about, Mindy made one presentation, I think it was back in October. We had a trustee from South Nyack, Anthony something, I think was his name, I forget his name, Olga. He made a presentation the next month that was rather extensive, which I think would answer most people's questions on that. We've talked about it a great deal. We're 2 years into it now, and I look forward to the public hearing and moving that forward. The other thing is, Chief can laugh at me, so can everybody else. When I started on this board a couple of years ago, I digressed back to when Inga was a supervisor. A decision was made, and I don't know all the details, to break away from dispatching from the village of Highland Falls. At that time, I think they were charging $90,000 a year or something like that. So the town did some things. Justin might remember there was some repeaters on towers or whatever that came to like $180,000, and the town moved forward with the 911 system. To this day, if the public were to quiz me and say, Richie, how does it work? I would so like Frank to have a diorama with Legos, with the tower over in Cold Spring and one on top of Bull Mountain and whatever goes on in the attic of Village Hall, to let me understand how this all works, because I still don't. I don't really feel that bad, because I don't think many other people understand it either. And there was a discussion on this page that they were talking about, the history page about CB radios. Back in 1976 with the CB, you could have a good conversation on 293 with a $100 radio. I'd really like to get it right.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Anything else?
Yeah, I want to caveat to say, in reference to the folks who do the environmental, just for the length of time that I've been on the board, which is not as long as him, because I can't go back to the 70s. But I will tell you that they have been champions. Thank you so much for your dedication and your commitment, Ms. Olga and Ms. Mindy. Just, I mean, phenomenal community members, so thank you so much.
And I second that, sir. Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried, thank you.